All right, today we're talking about place value relationships and making sure you'll be able to find um, the place value relationships um, of numbers. So this is a review, so this is something we should already know how to do. So remember our place value chart. Remember we have I'm going to put this in black. We have our ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. Let's put our comma there. 10,000s, 100,000s. Now, this place value chart is very important, you guys, when finding the relationship between numbers, the same numbers, um, in the whole set of numbers. So, remember every time you do a loop, remember the loops? Every time you do a loop, it's times 10, right? So, every time you go each place value, you're timesing the number by 10, no matter what. And you remember if I multiply like 10 times 10, now it's 100. If I do 10 times 10 times 10, remember that's 1,000. Or you can just look at zeros. 1, 2, 3 zeros, 1, 2, 3 zeros. If I just do 10, that's just 10, right? So remember, this is like very key and important when solving these problems. So let's look at a problem. How many times greater is the 3 in 347 than the 3 in 13,282? So remember these problems, we need to make sure that we line up our numbers. So I'm going to line up our numbers. 13,000, oops. We got 304. I like to have a big number first. 13,282, then 347. So our numbers are lined up. Now we're trying to figure out how many times greater is the 3. So we're looking at our 3. So remember, we underline them and see how many loops does it take to get from the hundreds place to the thousands place. So how many loops is that? Good, it's just one loop. So one loop is times 10. Remember, we put times 10 in there. So my answer would be 10 times greater. That would be my answer. All right, so let's look at the next problem. How many times greater is the 4 in 456 than the 4 in 47,921? So I wrote both of my numbers down. I'm going to underline the 4's and see how many times greater is that. So we got to remember our loops. We're going from the 4 in the hundreds place to the 4 in the 10,000s place. So we go over one loop. That's times 10. Two loops. We're right where we need to be. That's times 10. What is 10 times 10? Good, 100. 10 times 10 is 100. So my answer would be 100 times greater. All right. So now let's look at this one. What's the relationship between the sevens and this number below? So now we just have one number. So what's the relationship? When you think of relationship, are you doing a thing about how many times greater something is? So how many loops does it take to get from the 7 in the tens place to the 7 in the thousands place? How many loops is that? 1, 2. Good. 2 loops means times 10 times 10 is 100 times greater. So my answer would be 100 times greater. All right. Now, what's the relationship between the nines? So how many loops does it take to get from the 9 in the thousands into the 9 in the 10,000s? Good. 10 times. So my answer would just be 10 times greater. All right, do this last one by yourself. What is the relationship between the 5's and the number below? Good. So we go from the 5 in the thousands to 5 in the 100,000. So we go over one loop. We're in the 10,000s. Two loops. So 10 times 10 is 100. So it's 100 times greater. Good job. So this should be very simple for us because we've learned about this in class. How many times greater something is in the place value relationship of something. So that will be it for our lesson for today.